They laughed at me before I even stood up. The hall was full. Big men in suits, women with fake British accents, cameras flashing like gunfire. And there was my boss, Mr. Henry, the billionaire everyone worshipped, pointing at me like I was dirt. "Justin," he shouted, "you can't even handle a simple slideshow. What exactly do I pay you for? Carrying my briefcase." The laughter grew louder. I felt my ears burn. My hands shook so bad the clicker almost slipped. I wanted to vanish, but my body was frozen. Let me take you back a bit. I'd worked for Mr. Henry for 11 years. 11. From the day he started his tech company in a small office with broken AC, I was there. I booked his flights, cleaned his shoes, even lied to his wife sometimes when he didn't come home. I was not just his assistant. I was his shadow. But shadows don't get respect. Shadows don't eat when the lights come on. That night was supposed to be his big moment. He was unveiling a new app at a gala in Victoria Island, packed with investors, ministers, and journalists. I stayed up 2 nights making sure everything was perfect. The slides, the videos, the speeches. But one slide, just one, didn't load. And that was all it took for him to destroy me. "Stand up, Justin," he barked. His microphone carried his anger across the hall. "Tell them how a man who claims to be my personal assistant cannot even press a button." My mouth went dry. My legs were jelly. People stared at me like I was some comic relief. A minister chuckled. A young lady in the front row whispered to her friend, "Nawa'o, see disgrace." I tried to speak. "Sir, Shut up," Henry snapped. "You're a fool. 11 years and this is what you bring me? Embarrassment?" The hall went silent, but the silence was worse than laughter. My heart was banging so loud I thought everyone could hear it. He raised his hand like he was throwing me away. "You're fired. Yeah, right here. Right now. Get out of my sight." I looked at him. The same man whose secrets I kept, whose tears I once wiped when his father died, whose meals I carried into boardrooms. My chest felt like it had been kicked open. I whispered, "Thank you, sir. May your light never go out." I don't know why I said that. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was a curse. I picked up my bag, walked past the cameras, and left the hall. I did not cry when I left the hall. I kept my head down and walked. Cameras flashed like small knives. Someone tried to stop me for a quick comment. I shook my head and kept moving. The hotel lobby smelled like strong perfume and old money. I pushed the door and came out to the night. Outside, the air felt cooler. I stood under a weak streetlight with my brown bag and the cheap black suit I had ironed 3 times. My phone kept buzzing. Group chat, missed calls, someone laughing, someone pitying me. I put it on silent. A taxi pulled up. "Where to?" the driver asked. "Yaba," I said. We started to move. The driver stared at me in the mirror. "You from that big event?" "Yes," he grinned. "Oga shout for you?" I looked at my tie. He did. "Sorry," he said, still smiling a little. "But money people like Wahala. Tomorrow he go call you back." "Maybe," I said. He put on loud radio, a gospel song. The chorus said, "It will end in praise." I almost laughed. I did not. At home, I took off my shoes first. I placed them side by the door. My room was small. The fan squeaked when it turned. I put my bag down, took out the laptop, the old power bank, the flash drives. I laid them like soldiers on the table. 11 years of my life in small things. My neighbor knocked. "Justin, welcome." "Light no day. Bring your phone, make I share hotspot while it lasts." She saw my face. "Ah, what'n happen?" "I lost my job," I said. She went quiet. "Sorry." Then she said, "You still dey owe me for jollof pot." I blinked. I had borrowed her pot for Mr. Henry's house party years ago. We laughed about it then. Now it felt like sand in my mouth. "I'll bring it in the morning," I said. "Okay," she said. "You go, okay?" I took a quick shower and sat on my bed with a towel around my waist. I stared at the wall. The paint was peeling. A fat gecko watched me from the corner like a lazy security guard. My mother called. I let it ring twice, then picked. "Justin, are you home?" Her voice came warm, tired. "Yes, Mama." "You ate?" "I will." "Your uncle said he saw something on TV," she said. "He said your boss shouted at someone." "It was me, Mama." She went quiet. Then softly, "Sorry, my son." "I'm fine." "You are a good man," she said. "Sleep. Tomorrow, buy bread." We both laughed at that. She always said bread like a small cure. After the call, I sat at the table and opened my laptop. Old emails, flight plans, hotel codes, birthday lists, donor names. My whole life, and none of it mine. I typed a short message to Mr. Henry. I kept it clean. "Sir, thank you for the years. I wish you well. My resignation letter is attached. I will send back all company items tomorrow. Justin, I read it twice. I did not change a word. I pressed send. I slept like a stone. In the morning, I shaved. I wore a plain blue shirt. I walked to the office with a small carton. Security at the gate stared at me with new eyes, like I was now a stranger. Morning, I said. Morning, the guard said. He seemed sorry, but also curious. He asked for my ID. I gave it. He kept it. I did not ask for it back. I went up to the 6th floor. The glass doors that always slid open for me now moved slow, like they were thinking. Our receptionist, a tall girl who wore bright lipstick, looked away when she saw me. Not because she hated me. She just did not want to be seen knowing me. I entered my small office for the last time. It smelled like paper and old coffee. I packed my water bottle, my mug, 2 books I never finished, and the photo of me and Mr. Henry from the early days. He in a shirt with rolled sleeves, me in a cheap tie, both of us smiling like kids. I put the photo face down in the box. I went desk by desk. I shook hands. I did not make a speech. I found his driver by the elevator. Justin, the driver said. Sorry. It's fine, I said. How's Oga? Angry, he said. But you know him. He will forget. I won't, I said and smiled small. I handed HR my access card, laptop, and the last company phone. The HR lady signed a form and said, "We will process your final pay." Her eyes said good luck. Her mouth said nothing. I left the building into bright sun. For the first time in 11 years, I had nothing to carry for someone else. My hands felt empty like they had lost weight. I took a long walk. I bought bread and sat in a small park under a tree. Children shouted somewhere. A man sold roasted corn. I ate the bread slow. I looked at the sky. It was plain blue without drama. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You did not deserve that. If you need freelance work, call me. It was from a woman at an investor firm. I saved her number under mercy. I did not call. Not yet. At night, I took the jollof pot back to my neighbor. She hugged me. You will stand again, she said. I will, I said, and surprised myself by believing it. That week, I cut my hair very low like a reset. I sold an old tablet to pay rent. I helped a friend fix his wedding program for small money. I slept early. I woke early. I kept busy. I wrote my CV on a blank document and laughed at how empty it looked when I removed Mr. Henry's name. Then I wrote a new one. Personal assistant, 11 years. Logistics, scheduling, crisis handling, confidentiality, sane under pressure. It looked like a different life, but also the same. People texted me, "Come and talk on radio." Drag him. I said no. My mother said, "Forgive and leave it." I said yes, but my chest still burned when I remembered his voice. One evening as I washed my plates, a thought came like a small visitor. You gave him 11 years. Give yourself at least one. I wrote that on paper and taped it to my wall. It started small, a rumor in a tech blog. A line that said, "Sources claim the new app had fake numbers." I read it while eating beans by the window. I shook my head. Blogs love drama. I closed it. 2 days later, a vendor called me. "Justin, have they paid you your last salary?" "Not yet," I said. "Why?" "They bounced my invoice," he said. "First time ever." I kept quiet. A week after that, I met our old accountant at a bus stop. He looked thinner. "How now?" I asked. He sighed. "They cut staff. Half of finance is gone." "So fast?" He rubbed his face. "They say cost control, but it's not cost. Something is leaking." I went home with a strange calm in my belly. Not joy, not revenge, just calm. A long, slow clock had started to tick, and I could hear it. The next month, a big story broke. Regulators query Henry Tech over tax irregularities. They used big words and long numbers, but the gist was simple. Money went left when it should have gone right. People on social media went wild. "Finally," one man wrote. "Witch hunt." Another wrote, "I beg make them check other CEOs too," a woman added. I sat on my bed and scrolled. My heart did not dance. I had seen the way he spent, the way he trusted loud friends more than quiet staff, the way he rushed deals because he loved cameras. I had told him once, "Sir, let's slow down." He had laughed and patted my shoulder. "Justin, we are not here to be slow." A friend from security sent me a voice note. "Bro, wahala. This morning, one investor came with police, shouting at the gate. They say Oga promised guaranteed returns. Now nothing." Then came the photo. Mr. Henry pushing a trolley at a supermarket, looking like a tired uncle. No stylist. No gold watch. Comments were cruel. "Where is your slide guy now?" Someone wrote. Sorry, oh, money finishes, another wrote with a crying emoji that did not look sorry at all. I did not reply. I made tea and drank it slow. Work found me in small ways. The woman named Mercy sent short gigs, help a startup plan a launch, train a young assistant on how to manage a stubborn founder, write a travel plan for an NGO woman who had never left Nigeria before. I did it all like it was worship. I saved. I bought a secondhand laptop that did not overheat. I ate better. The more I stood up, the more Mr. Henry sat down. That is how it felt. One afternoon, I ran into his old driver at the mall. "Ah, Justin," he said. He looked around before he spoke low. "Our Oga has sold the G-Wagon." I smiled. "He has many cars." "Not anymore," he said. "They seized the range. And madam, sorry, his wife left. She took the small boy." I felt a sudden ache. The small boy liked chocolate and toy cars. He once called me Uncle Just. I nodded and walked away. I did not want the driver to see my face. News kept coming like rain that would not stop. Board members resign. Henry Tech lays off 200 staff. CEO says, "We will bounce back." So many headlines. I remembered how he once told me, "Bad news is just a noise you step over." But this was not noise. This was the ground itself breaking. One night my phone lit up past midnight. It was a message from a former intern. "Sir Justin, I know you don't like gossip, but look." She sent a photo. Mr. Henry outside a petrol station, arguing with a cashier. He held a card machine. The caption said, "Declined." The comments were a river of laughter. I put the phone face down. I lay on my back and stared at the fan. It squeaked like always. I remembered the day I followed him to the bank to open his first business account. He wore a cheap suit then, and his smile was hungry but kind. We ate Puff Puff in a nylon bag and joked about how one day he would rent the whole branch to count his money. What a long road from Puff Puff to this. The next week, a journalist called. He wanted a statement from me. "You were with him for 11 years, he said. Did you see this coming?" I said, "No comment." Then I added, "I wish everyone there well. They are good people." He laughed. "You are too clean." "I am tired of dirt," I said, and cut the call. My neighbor knocked that evening with a plate of hot rice. "You look thin. Eat." I smiled. "I'm fine." "You are fine," she said. "But eat." She sat while I ate, like a guard making sure I did not give my food to the wall. "Your old Oga," she began. "I know," I said. "I see the news." She nodded. "God has a way." I raised a hand. "Please, let's not do that." She respected it. We talked about her small shop. She wanted to buy a fridge. I told her to check a guy I knew who sold clean used ones. She wrote it down. My mother called later. "I heard your boss is in trouble," she said. "He is a man," I said. "Men fall." She knew my tone. She said, "Don't let your heart go hard." "I won't." "Pray for him," she added. I said nothing, but when we ended the call, I did say one short prayer. Not deep, not holy. Just this: "Lord, do whatever is right." Time moved in jumps. 3 months, 6, then a year. By then I had a small routine. Morning walks, 2 part-time clients, a little savings, a notebook full of plans. I wrote out training guides for personal assistants because I knew where all the fires lived: boardrooms, airports, lies, birthdays, lost tempers. I wrote it simple, like a small map. Do not argue when the boss is angry. Fix the problem first. Speak truth in quiet. Keep receipts. Never forget birthdays. Learn the names of the house staff. Be loyal, but not blind. I did not know what I would do with it, but writing it made me breathe better. Then came the big fall. The taxmen froze the company accounts. The court case went public. Former friends posted vague quotes about humility and seasons. You could tell who they were talking about, even if they did not say his name. One wet afternoon, I was waiting under a shop shade while rain slapped the road. A man with a nylon umbrella stopped beside me. It was one of the old investors who had once ignored me in the lobby because I looked like furniture. "Justin?" he said, squinting. "Yes, sir." He shifted. "You look well." "Thank you." He nodded at the rain. "The season has changed," I said. "Yes," he sighed. "We warned him, you know, but he liked noise. He liked the stage." I said, "We all like something." He looked at me like he wanted me to join him in a sweet insult. I did not. He checked his watch and ran into the rain. Later that week, I saw Mr. Henry in person for the first time since the night he fired me. I was buying bread from a kiosk. A dusty Toyota pulled up. He stepped out. He wore a plain polo and old sandals. His hair had white in it now, like salt on dark soil. He did not see me at first. He was counting coins in his palm, slow and careful. When he looked up, our eyes met. There was a tiny pause where the world held its breath. The bread woman looked from him to me, then back, like she knew we were in a movie. "Justin?" he said. His voice was not loud now. It was almost rough, like a cough. "Good evening, sir," I said. He nodded, awkward. "How are you?" "I am okay." A drop of rain hit his cheek. He wiped it with the back of his hand. For a second, he looked like the man I knew from the early days, the one with rolled sleeves and bold plans. Then he looked back down at the coins, and the moment ended. "Take care," he said. "You too, sir," I said. He entered the car and drove off. The bread woman whistled softly. "Is that not that big man?" I took my bread and left. My legs felt light and heavy at the same time. That night, I did not sleep early. I sat at the table and stared at the old photo of us I had turned face down in the box. I turned it face up. 2 men, 2 smiles, 1,000 stories between them. My phone buzzed near midnight. A new message. Unknown number. "Justin, this is Henry. I got your contact from an old file. Please, can we talk?" I looked at the message for a long time. The fan squeaked. A gecko clicked in the corner. Somewhere outside, a bike revved and faded. I did not reply yet. I placed the phone screen down and pressed my palm flat on the table. My heart was steady. Not soft, not hard, just steady. Morning would come, and with it, whatever needed to come next. The text message from Henry that night, "Please, can we talk?" sat on my phone like a wound that refused to heal. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned my focus to the small jobs I was picking up. Mercy, the investor woman, kept linking me to people who needed structure in their chaos. I became the man behind the curtain for startups, fixing their calendars, building their launch events, creating order where there was none. At first, it was peanuts, enough for rent, food, maybe transport. But peanuts grow when you plant them right. I learned quickly that the secret was not just working for one big man. That was slavery in disguise. The real secret was working for many small men and women, all trying to rise. One day, Mercy called me and said, "Justin, why don't you set up your own small agency? Assistants for hire. Trained, reliable, quiet like you." I laughed. "Agency? I don't even have a chair that doesn't squeak." "You don't need chairs," she said. "You need vision. Register the name. I'll bring clients." So I did. I borrowed money from a cousin in Ibadan, registered Backbone Services Limited. The name made sense to me, because men like Henry forgot this truth. Without a backbone, the body falls. I trained 2 young assistants, then 4, then 10. All hungry, all sharp, all learning the way I had learned. Patience, speed, loyalty, but never blindness. I taught them something I had not learned early enough. Respect yourself, even if the boss doesn't respect you. By the second year, we had offices in Lagos and Kigali. We didn't wear suits. We wore simple polos with the word backbone stitched on the chest. Our slogan was, "We carry the weight." And the weight came. Banks, NGOs, startups, even churches. Everybody wanted our people. Investors liked us because we saved them time. Founders liked us because we saved them shame. We didn't shine, but we stood strong. People began to ask, who is behind Backbone? Mercy kept my name low, but in private circles they whispered about Mr. J. Some thought I was an old man in glasses. Some thought I was a ghost. I smiled. A ghost was better than a clown. One evening, Mercy and I sat in a rooftop cafe in Nairobi, looking at the city lights. She raised her glass of juice. "You know, Justin, you are bigger than you think." I shook my head. "I'm just building something simple." "No," she said. "You are building a throne. You just don't sit on it." I laughed. Thrones attract snakes. I like my bench. But deep down, I knew she was right. I was no longer the shadow of another man. I was casting my own. The whispers about Henry's fall never stopped reaching me. His company crumbled like a biscuit in tea. First the app, then the investors, then the board, then his marriage. But I didn't clap. Life is long, and pride is heavy. I just kept building. The day one of my assistants told me, "Sir, I want to be like you," I smiled in a way I hadn't in years. I told him, "Don't be like me. Be better. Don't wait for someone to fire you before you see your worth." That night, I sat alone in my flat in Kigali, looking at the city glow. I whispered to myself, "You are not the errand boy anymore. You are the backbone." The first time I saw Henry again after the bread shop encounter, it was by accident. I was at a petrol station in Surulere, waiting in line, when a commotion broke out. "Card declined," the cashier shouted. People in the queue started grumbling. A man in a faded polo was arguing, holding out another card. I moved closer and froze. It was Henry. His once clean shave was now rough. His eyes looked smaller, like they were tired of seeing the world. His wrist was bare, no gold watch. His shoes had dust on them. "Please, try again," he said to the cashier. His voice was not the booming voice that once filled gala halls. It was low, almost begging. "Sir, I tried 3 times, the cashier said. "Do you have cash?" Henry checked his pockets. Only coins. The man behind him in the line hissed loudly. "Oga, I beg, move if you no get money." Henry stepped aside, head down. I felt a stone in my chest. This was the same man who once made governors wait in his lobby. The same man who called me a fool in front of a hall full of power. Now he was the fool in the eyes of strangers. He looked up, and our eyes met. His lips parted, like he wanted to say my name. But he didn't. He just turned away and walked to his dusty car, a Toyota Corolla with a broken taillight. The station fell silent for me. I couldn't even hear the generator anymore. All I heard was the echo of his voice from years ago. "You're just an errand boy." Now, who was the errand boy? News spread fast after that. He lost his house in Banana Island. The bank took it. He moved to a smaller duplex in Aja, then lost that too. Finally, people said he was renting a 2-bedroom in Ikorodu. His wife left. His boy went to Canada with her. Old friends blocked him. Politicians who once begged for his donation acted like they had never known his number. The papers called him the fall of a giant. One night my phone buzzed again. A new message. "Justin, please. I know I wronged you. I have no one else to turn to. Can we meet?" I stared at the screen for a long time. I thought about the laughter at the gala, about the years of carrying his life on my back, about the quiet bread shop, about the petrol station shame. My finger hovered over delete. But I didn't delete it. I kept it. Because part of me wanted to see how far a king could crawl when his crown was gone. Days later, Mercy called me. "Have you seen the news? Your old boss is broke, like selling chargers from his car broke." I said nothing. She added, "Funny how life works. You're the one people call now. He's the one begging. Tables don't just turn, they spin." I sighed. "Mercy, I don't want to laugh at him, but I can't forget what he did." "Then don't laugh," she said. "But don't forget either. Pain can teach, but bitterness can kill." Her words sat with me long after we ended the call. One evening, I was at a restaurant in Yaba, eating suya and drinking malt. A man walked in, thin, shoulders bent. He looked around nervously like a thief. Then he walked straight to me. It was Henry. "Justin," he said softly. I didn't answer. I just looked at him. "Please," he said. "Can we talk?" I sipped my malt and said, "Sit." He sat. His hands trembled as he tried to arrange his words. The man who once commanded stages now looked like a student begging for extra marks. "Justin," he said, I messed up. I know. I treated you badly. I thought I was untouchable. His voice cracked, "Now I'm nobody." I kept my face blank. Inside, my heart was not blank. It was storming. He leaned forward. "I need help. Please. Anything. A job, a loan. Just don't turn your back on me." For a second, the room disappeared. It was just him and me. The man who destroyed me now asking me to save him. I looked at him long and hard. Then I said, "You called me an errand boy." He nodded quickly. "I know, I was wrong. Forgive me." I leaned back in my chair. My mind whispered, "Now the table has turned, but what will you do with it?" And that was how the night ended, with his plea hanging in the air and my silence heavy between us. Because sometimes, silence is the loudest answer. When Henry said, "Please, don't turn your back on me," in that restaurant, I didn't answer. I let the silence sting him until he shifted in his chair like a restless child. Then I told him, "I'll think about it." And I walked out. But life is stubborn. When it wants 2 people to collide, it will drag them into the same room no matter how much they resist. It was 2 weeks later. I had been invited to a private investor pitch at Echo Hotel. Mercy had arranged it. "Big names will be there," she whispered. "Some are curious about Backbone. Don't be shy. Go and listen." I wore a plain gray suit, nothing fancy. My assistants always laughed at me, saying, "Sir, you dress like a banker on probation." But I didn't care. Let the work shine, not the cloth. The meeting room was wide, all glass and leather. Investors sat around the long table, sipping bottled water, pretending to be more relaxed than they were. I took my seat near the end. Mercy sat across, smiling like a fox. Then the door opened, and in walked Henry. My chest tightened, but my face stayed calm. He looked different from the last time I'd seen him at the restaurant. Still slim, still tired, but now he was forcing a suit onto his bent shoulders like a king trying to wear a crown made of paper. He scanned the room nervously, then froze when his eyes found me. The air shifted. Some people noticed, some didn't. But I noticed. The moderator cleared his throat. "We are here today to hear ideas, proposals, partnerships." He gestured at Henry. "Chief Henry Aide?" "Just Henry," he said quickly. His voice cracked. "I'm not a chief anymore." He began his pitch. Something about a new delivery app for groceries. Something about bringing innovation to every doorstep. His hands shook. His slides didn't load properly. He kept apologizing. Sweat spread across his shirt. I watched in silence. This was the same man who once roasted me alive over one missing slide. Now he was roasting himself without any fire. Halfway through, one of the investors leaned back and whispered to another, "Isn't this the man that lost billions?" They smirked. Henry heard it. His lips trembled, but he kept talking. Finally, he stopped. "That is all. Thank you." The room was quiet. Then the moderator said, "All right, next presenter, Backbone Services Limited." Heads turned. Mercy gestured at me. My heart thudded, but my steps were steady. I walked to the front, plugged in my laptop, and began. "Good afternoon. My name is Justin." Some of the investors nodded politely. "I represent Backbone Services. We train and provide executive assistants, logistics coordinators, and crisis handlers. In simple words, we're the people who carry the weight behind the stage." I clicked through clean slides, photos of our staff, graphs showing growth in 3 countries, testimonials from clients. "Our model is simple," I said. "Most founders and executives crash not because their ideas are weak, but because their structures are weak. We provide the structure, quiet, steady, invisible if needed, like a backbone." I ended with our numbers, small compared to the giants in the room, but solid. No scandals, no drama. When I finished, the investors clapped lightly. Some whispered to each other. Mercy's eyes sparkled with pride. Then, as I packed my laptop, I felt eyes on me. Henry's. His face was pale, his mouth a thin line. He knew. He had just watched the man he once called errand boy now standing as the backbone others wanted to lean on. The session ended. People stood to shake hands. Business cards flew like birds. As I headed for the door, Henry blocked my path. "Justin," he whispered. His voice was hoarse. I stopped, looked at him. "Yes, sir?" "Don't call me sir," he said. His eyes were wet. I didn't answer. "Please," he said again. "Can we talk outside?" I wanted to walk past him, but the room was watching, and I didn't want a scene. So I nodded once and walked out to the terrace. He followed. The terrace overlooked the pool. The Lagos sun was brutal, baking the tiles, making the air heavy. Henry stood there, shoulders slumped, his suit sticking to him with sweat. He turned to me. His lips trembled before words came out. "Justin, I'm begging you." I raised my eyebrow. "For what?" "For help. For mercy. For something." He dragged a hand across his face. "I've lost everything. The company, the cars, the house, my family. I can't even buy fuel without shame. People I fed now avoid me like plague. I sleep in a rented room. I eat bread and water." His voice cracked. "You're the only person I can turn to." I folded my arms. "Why me? You have friends." "They're gone," he said quickly. "All gone. You were loyal. For 11 years you carried me. I see that now. I should never have treated you like that. I was blind, stupid, proud. Forgive me, Justin." I kept my face still, but my chest was storming. "Do you remember that night?" I asked quietly. His eyes darted. "Which one?" "The gala," I said. My voice sharpened. "When you shouted at me, called me a fool, fired me in front of the world." He winced, as if the words themselves slapped him. "I remember," he whispered. "I hate myself for it every day. I see your face in my dreams. You said, 'May your light never go out.' But it did. It went out, and now." His knees buckled. He sank down, right there on the hot tiles in front of me. "Now I'm asking you," he said, his voice shaking. "Please, help me stand again." People passing on the terrace slowed down. A waiter stared. 2 women by the pool turned to look. They knew who he was. Their eyes widened at the sight of him kneeling. The same man who once made ministers wait was now kneeling before me. "Stand up." "I won't," he said, voice breaking. "Not until you say you'll help me." I looked down at him. Sweat running down his temples. Hands clasped like a broken prayer. Inside me, 2 voices fought. One said, Step on him. This is your revenge, the other whispered. He's already stepped on. What do you gain by adding more? I crouched so I was eye to eye with him. You made me small once, I said, but you forgot. Small things grow. Tears spilled down his cheeks. I know. Please, Justin, don't leave me like this. My heart thudded. My hands shook slightly. The waiter was still watching, the women still whispering. The whole world seemed to be waiting for my answer. I stood up, took a step back, looked at him on his knees, and said nothing. Because sometimes silence is heavier than words. He stayed there, kneeling until his shadow stretched long across the tiles, and I turned and walked away, his voice behind me calling my name. Justin! Please, please! Each please echoed in my bones, but I did not look back. For 3 nights, I didn't sleep properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Henry on his knees, his voice echoing like a broken drum. Please, Justin, please. I replayed it all. 11 years of loyalty, 1 night of disgrace, and now this heavy begging. Life had turned the board upside down, and the pieces didn't make sense anymore. Mercy called me. So, what will you do? I was quiet. Justin, she pressed. Don't forget, you don't owe him anything. I know. But part of you wants to help, right? She asked. I sighed. Part of me wants him to suffer forever. Part of me, I trailed off. Part of you is still human, she finished. 2 days later, I agreed to meet him again. This time, I chose the place, a small hall in Sur-Aire where Backbone was training a new batch of assistants. 20 young men and women sat with notebooks, watching me explain how to manage crises. At the end, I told them, sometimes bosses will treat you like air. Sometimes they will crush you. But remember this, you are not just errand boys or girls. You are the backbone. Without you, they collapse. They clapped. I dismissed them. When the room was empty, Henry walked in. He looked smaller than before. His shirt was washed too many times. His shoes cracked at the edges. He clutched a nylon bag like it held his whole life. Me, he said softly. I nodded, motioned for him to sit. He sat, nervous, eyes darting at the training chairs like ghosts of the assistants who just left were still there, watching. What do you want, Henry? I asked. He swallowed hard. A chance. Anything. I can work. I can learn. I don't need much. Just don't leave me in the gutter. I studied him. His hands trembled as he held the nylon. He looked like a man waiting for judgment. Work? I asked slowly. Yes? He said quickly. Anything. I'll sweep floors. I'll drive. I'll be an assistant if I have to. The word struck me. I'll be an assistant. The same man who once told me I was just a glorified errand boy. I leaned back. My heart beat steady. You want work, I repeated. All right. He looked up, hope flashing in his tired eyes. I continued, there's a position at one of our nonprofits. They help men like you, men who lost their way, men who need second chances. He nodded eagerly. Yes, I'll take it. What is the job? I let the silence stretch before I answered. Driver, errand handler. You'll carry bags, run small errands, open doors. Nothing glamorous, but it's honest. The hope in his eyes flickered, then dimmed. He understood the irony, the reversal. He whispered, You're putting me where I put you. No, I said quietly. I'm putting you where you put yourself. He broke down. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He covered his face with his palms, shoulders shaking. I deserve worse, he sobbed. I didn't comfort him. I just sat, watching. My chest felt tight, but not with joy, with something heavier, the weight of power, the bitterness of victory that doesn't taste sweet. Finally, I stood. Be here tomorrow at 8 a.m. If you're late, don't come again. He nodded, wiping his eyes. I'll be here. The next morning, he was there before me, dressed in plain clothes, sitting quietly by the gate. No entourage, no driver, no perfume cloud. Just Henry, holding his nylon bag, waiting like a man outside an interview. The staff looked at him with wide eyes. Some whispered. They all knew who he was. I walked past him without greeting. Inside, I felt his eyes on me, waiting for acknowledgement. But I gave him none. Later that week, I had an event to attend, a launch in Akoi. My new driver was sick, so I called him. Henry, I said, bring the car. He came quickly, nervous hands gripping the wheel. The road was busy, the usual Lagos madness. He drove slow, careful, too careful. At the venue, cameras flashed. Journalists crowded the entrance. As I stepped out of the car, Henry rushed to my side, opened the door for me. For a brief moment, the world tilted. I remembered all the times I had opened doors for him, carried his briefcase, adjusted his tie before cameras. Now he stood there, holding the car door like a servant while the flashbulbs captured everything. "Is that not Henry?" someone whispered loudly. "Yes," another voice said. "The fallen billionaire. He's working for that bat backbone guy now." The whispers spread like fire. Heads turned, eyes stared, some laughed, some pitied, some just shook their heads at the twist of fate. I walked forward, calm, my face unreadable. Henry closed the car door and followed quietly behind, carrying my small bag. His shoulders were bent, his eyes down. Inside the hall, people greeted me, shook my hand, called me sir. Henry stood a few steps back, invisible now, just like I once was. That night, after the event, as he drove me home, he finally spoke. "Justin," he said softly. "Yes. Thank you." I looked out the window at the flashing Lagos streetlights. "Don't thank me. Just do the job." He nodded. His knuckles tightened on the steering wheel. He didn't speak again. Back in my apartment, I sat at the table, staring at the old photo of us I once hid. Two men, smiling in the early days, both believing they were climbing together. I traced my finger over my younger face in the photo, then over his. Life had turned the circle. He was now the shadow, and I was the man in the light. But the light felt cold. I whispered, not sure if it was a prayer or a curse. Everyone deserves a hand, even those who once slapped it away. The next morning, I woke early. Henry was waiting downstairs, car polished, door open. And as I stepped in, I knew the world would never forget the image of him, the once untouchable billionaire, opening doors for the man he once threw away. Full circle. But not a circle of joy, a circle of irony, a circle of truth.